Hey guys, I'm HP, this is Dr. Pink, and today's topic is basic shuffle blues guitar riffs. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button, and also join the HPCrazy Guitar Academy with a free member account or a premium member account. So what are we talking about today? As it's saying, basic shuffle blues guitar riffs. Here you're going to learn to play these riffs. And so on. All details, all things you need to know to play a really steady, cool shuffle blues guitar riff. And even if you're an intermediate or advanced player and you've never done this before, it's worth checking it out because the little details make the wow factor, even if you're playing a really simple riff. And we're going to talk about simple riffs, how to play them with a wow factor, and also how you can make them even more wow with putting some adds. And also the king of shuffle, status quo. We also check out the status quo technique in shuffle blues guitar riff. So let's get started. All right, guys, as I said, we're talking about basic shuffle blues guitar riffs. So first we need to talk about the blues form. We're taking the standard blues form in A, which is 4 bars of A, 2 bars of D, 2 bars A, 1 bar E, 1 bar D, 1 bar A, 1 bar E. That's the standard form. And I'm first going to show you some riffs, and then at the end of the tutorial I'll show you how you can make combinations and sound the standard blues form really cool. And I've chosen A because A is the easiest one to start with, the open string version of it, but we also check out, as I said, the status quo version, which will be another position, and you can just adapt to other keys, but the version in A with open string is only available in A, but the status quo version, but also using other positions could be in other keys. So the first thing we need to talk about is what is shuffle in specific, when we take an A5 chord here. So what is this? To make a proper shuffle groove, you need to know what shuffle is. This will be the beat, and you play triplets. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And now to make a shuffle, you just mute the second. So 1, 2, 3. I'll make it a bit slower. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. That creates the shuffle groove. First, to make it really properly, do this by speaking out the triplets loud. It's not so easy as it looks like. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's the first step to get into shuffle blues guitar riffs. So now we're checking out just different types of riffs. The easiest one, of course, is the one in A5. So 1 and 2 and 3, and you make it with downstrokes. Okay. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And when you want to go to D, you just move down. When you want to go to E, you just move down here to the E. But yeah. So the first thing is just play with the proper shuffle groove. You also can play the same thing with downstroke, with palm muted technique. So same thing, but with palm muted technique. Okay, and so on. Now we are adding one bit after each other. We take the riff before, and now when you hear the groove, you can hear the snare is making an accent on 2 and 4. We're doing the same here. 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You make an accent on the 2 and the 4. So you need to count, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Or if you made the palm muted, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. What you also could do is to release the palm mute on 2 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. This creates a really cool effect. See, then it grooves really more, or without palm mute. Yo, so that is making accent on 2/4. And now we didn't move anything at all. That was just picking hand technique with palm mute and making accent on 2 and 4. So we go to variation 3 now. That will be we highlight this accent on 2 and 4 even more by going here on the 4th as a 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, or with the palm muted, and you release the palm mute by rotating your hand here. Okay, so let's do that. Or without palm mute. Without palm muting. Okay. You can make even a more complex form by doing 1. You move up here the 5th fret. So just move up here 1 and 2 and 3. Well, you don't need to highlight those, but you can 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But at least you highlight the 2 and the 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4. Okay? So and the same with palm muted. See, you see how it starts to groove now. It's really cool. So let's do that one. Now palm mute. Yo. So now you see you just put in these little gems, and now it starts to really groove. Even it's really simple, but as I already said, if you never done this before, it's really worth checking this stuff out, because that's the difference from, and this makes the wow factor. You know, you just play something simple, but it sounds, you know. Now we can add even one more little gem to have this wow factor. We add we're gonna add on the 4 end. We make a strong accent by just releasing the whole chord. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then you just make a strike in the open strings. This really gets highlighted when you use the palm muted technique. See? It's really cool. Let's see how that works with the track. See, really pushes the groove, you know, like it gets this pumping motion. Yo, so these were really the basic movements now, without any big gimmicks here and stuff like that. Now, if you want to play the status quo thing, status quo, what was the guy's name again? Parfit, or Rossi or Parfit. I once saw a tutorial of him, and I knew it would be like this, because if you want to have it more grooving, then till now we were always doing downstrokes. If you want to have the real status quo thing, then you really need to go through these strings with up and down stroke and make. Now with the same in A, in the 5th fret 7, and you need to go with the pinky up in the 9. So 1. Now we do the same thing again with the accent on 2 and 4. Okay? And now if you want to go to D, that's important to know. There are two possibilities, but since we're doing status quo, the normal would be you just move down here to D and to E. Just move the riff down with the typical L form. Now here we have a problem because the low E string has to be damped, and you cannot attack the string as hard as you would play on the low 2 strings. So now comes a trick. Instead of doing the classic L form, you just move up. Has more groove because you can really attack and with your hand and with your picking arm, especially when you play fast. Or, well, the backing track is only 1 speed. Really give this extra kick. Yo. Now, since we're just on 1 string or 2 strings, we can make these classic movements like. Then you just move around this power chord, but still keep this going on. So you, instead of doing the thing on 4 again, you make 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and so it's a bit tricky now. But you still do the accent on 4, even if you're doing something else. And when you stay in the same position, you just move up here, and if you go to a new chord, you use this as connection to the next chord. See? Or you can only play the connection and just keep the thing going on. Then it's more groovy. I'm going to show you. So that's the status quo style, but as I said, status quo is mostly faster, but I only have the backing track on 1 tempo and status quo B. Something like this was the lyrics. Anyhow, good. Now, this doing the riff with down and up, so can also be done down here, of course, to get more punch. Same technique, but here it's a bit more difficult because, as I said, you need to really make the proper damping and really hit the right strings, but it's also technique. And now we add a little fill in here, just with a single note here, 3, 4. So. You can make either a hammer-on but then don't forget that you start with a downstroke again. If you just keep it going, which I would recommend, but it's more difficult because you really need to hit the right strings. The same riff in status quo technique. It's a bit more difficult and challenging. So here you need to stay in position, then you make a slide up with the pinky here from 8 to 9. See, it's quite tricky, but it's of course good. Oops. The oops just show the problem when you do it with a slide without attacking, then you probably fall out of the groove. As I said, I recommend that you just keep this thing going on. And it's really quite challenging. You can do the double single note line, which will be can also do this, of course. It's also cool, just as a variation. You just use the parts as, then shuffle them around the way you like it, okay? Also, you can do the thing here with the up and down and up stroke with the empty thing. So with the upstroke you make the empty strings. This gives this extra kick. Again, this thing on forehand gives the extra. So these were now basically all tricks of basic blues shuffle riffs, and they work. And if you play a whole night, you just shuffle blues like Status Quo did. It's good to have a few tricks and variations, because basically rhythm guitar will be more or less this. Now when you play the full form, you also have the possibility, as I said, to make variations, and just use these different variations to make the full form sound more creative. And you can also use single note lines to connect between the chords. You know, something like this. Connect like this. Use this as connection to the next, to the D. I have it written down here. I'm always watching here what I wrote, because these tabs will be available for you, and I want that it goes along with what I've been talking here, more or less, that it's not too confusing. But at the end of the day, you can be creative yourself. It doesn't have to be exactly this way, you know. I'm just showing the possibilities. So I use this thing here to connect the chords, and then you could just start moving around. And if you play with the open string, you have A, D, and E. Now let me play one version now with different variations and the single note line as connection. Oh, I forgot it. So let me try again. As I said, you can do different types of variations. Status Quo thing, you can use the same thing. You can do the same thing but with the full chords. That's also cool, and then you make variations. I'll show you. Yo, if you don't want to do the status quo thing and do the L form, it's basically the same, but as I said, it's harder to get the right punch. Then you just, instead of doing it here, you do it here in the L form. Yo guys, that was the basic shuffle blues guitar riffs. That's all you need to know. Now the next thing, if you really want to become the groove master of shuffle blues guitar, I recommend to join a band and play shuffle blues all night long, like status quo, or what I did, I was playing with the Elvis impersonator at the beginning of my career, and I needed to play 1.5 hours shuffle blues, more or less the whole night. And there you learn also what is also really a problem, which you probably don't notice when you start to practice, is to have it sustainable, you know, that you can keep it going for, like, you know, like for 1 hour. There you need to adapt your, you know, your arm and the movement. That's why I really recommend just do this thing here, that it's just, you know, it's like riding a bike. It's not a problem. You can just keep this going on for hours, and then you're ready to, and then you can pay attention to the little details. And the guy from Status Quo, he played 30 years shuffle blues. He must know, because he unfortunately, I think he died like 4 years ago. He must have known, because as I said, he played the stuff all his whole life, probably every night. I don't really envy this guy, but you know, probably in heaven he will not play shuffle blues anymore. But anyhow, this is all you need to know to play a really cool professional show. I mean, even the stuff is basic. It's also the professional view of the whole thing, how you play it, you know, because not much more to say. Just probably then soloing will come, or other keys, but the principle is all the same. And so this is really important. This is also a must-have for every blues guitar player, even if you're already advanced and you never thought about this stuff before. Good. That's all I have to say. I wrote this all down. That's why I was always watching here, because as I said, I wanted to have it more or less the way it's written here, that you have a guiding line for this. These tabs plus the backing track for practice is available in the HPCrazy Guitar Academy. Please join that with a free member account, but in order to download this stuff, you need a premium member account. And also, I'm building up a little guitar community there on the online Guitar Academy with a lot of cool stuff there. So it will be cool if you join there. It has a lot of advantages also for free members, not only premium members. Just to say. Good. Me and Dr. Pink saying goodbye.